Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Akakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of great millstone. Peace and salutation unto the 44,000. It's Brother Carly with another lesson to the spirit and power of Bahashim Yahushai. Another on-the-go video, God willing be edifying. I like to title this on something along the lines of, ladies, this has to happen, so prepare yourself, This lesson was inspired by yesterday's camp video where a lady came up to us, and she was asking us how to deal with, the demon she's battling because she recently lost her husband. He died right in front of her, and I believe in an accident, she said. Right, and she has 4 boy children to take care of. And she said how she, aside from mourning him, she missing a man figure in her home to help where that is concerned. So, well, we told her stuff like, these things will and have to happen, but if it's really a part of the Lord's 1/3, you'll be given a man of the Lord, But I read this precept for her. This is Matthew 11:28. It says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light." Right? Now, of course, it's more referring to, prophets and whatnot, but it's still applicable to her. You understand? Because she heavy laden. Because really and truly too, it's even more so applicable to her than what I was thinking before, because as a woman, if you're doing your thing, because she knew she's an Israelite. The only thing is like she was following the Yahuwah Israelites and whatnot, but she understood that she's an Israelite. She know that her head's supposed to be covered and all these different things. So I would imagine that she was already doing her wifely duties, So she basically was doing her work. Right? And now she's heavy laden and whatnot because the loss of her husband and whatnot. So she was asking questions like, how do I move on from here? How to deal with this? So this is what the answer here. The Lord say, you're heavy laden. Take his yoke, right, and learn of him. So she came and she stopped and came to the prophets. And that was the best thing she could have done. You understand? Because, think about it. For a woman who was believing in the faith, right? She could have ended up saying, "Wait, I lost my husband," and started a course and ended up going back out in the world, turning a Christian or turning an atheist, and started hating, bugging out like these other women that Elder Manasseh Zakbai be doing videos on. You understand? About my time when I was a Hebrew Israelite and did this and did that and all these different things. No, she's a woman who kept the faith and she came to the righteous prophets. So may the Lord bless her for that. And she actually take hold to a man of the Lord, and that house build and remain strong till the end. You understand? So it's a yappa thing to see that, a woman in these times, remember thing he himself started to turn up yet. I was always quote that El Apostle Tahar has mentioned. Salakia. Yeah, El Apostle Tahar has always mentioned that, how you put it? You can't consider your wife in the truth until she's able to bring another woman for you. You understand? And we know that, of course, she don't have to literally do that, but the meaning of the mindset, right? But look, this woman here, right? She was able to thing, and she going through that right now. Somebody who she had a bond with, a connection, a family, Because there's 4 boys that have it. A family together, right? To see them die right in front of your eyes. That is something to be real traumatized about, you know? And she trying to keep it together. So, may the Lord bless her with a man of the Lord and, you know, keep it up. You know, either for them boys and them to come into the truth, which I feel is more than likely what would happen. Right? The Lord replace the head with a better head for the household to be better. Or the Lord might put those children to death too as well. Right? And though it might be a sad thing by the Lord, well, a sad thing for in the aspect of like, especially if it's a two-third and whatnot, but or if it's in the case of the mother, you know, of course we didn't tell her that, but it's a sad thing if you think about it in the sense like the children getting put to death, you know. But at the end of the day, right, we know that Israeli and truly just this flesh dying, you know, because we always quote the scripture where it says, don't fear the one that can kill the body, but fear the one that can kill both body and soul in hell, which is the Lord. You understand? So, given that factor, right, if the Lord is to put those children to death, even if he saved one of them or 2 of them, 3, right, and one of them to put to death or whatever it might be, right, whoever the Lord see fit, then that is the Lord's doing, you know. But remember, everything is a correction at this point in time, you know, just like how the Lord sifting out snakes and all these different kind of people from within the truth, you know, people who pretending to be or who bugging out and all them things. The Lord doing house cleaning, so it's the same way, you know, the Lord setting up families. If we getting ready to meet our bridegroom, you understand? Them women and them had to prepare themselves to meet their bridegroom. You understand? So just by seeing that is like we see how closer we is to the end too. So it's a revelation for us as well. You know? Because again, I quoted what the apostle said, right? So we seeing that happening now because we heading into them times. Isaiah 4 and 1 going and coming just now, which we're gonna read also. Right? There was other precept I wanted to get Sirach 2. Couple other videos to do too. One of them had Sirach 2 in it as well. But yeah, I'll read the point. Yeah, this is Sirach 2 and 4. It says, whatsoever, come, I'll make them noises already night now. Yeah, it says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a lower state. Right? So, this is something we also mentioned to her. You know, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. As gruesome as it might seem, we, at the end of the day, the better thing is to endure hardship now, rather than you trying to survive it and endure it, come down to the end, where the Lord is in our hedge. Everything the Lord doing for us now is to make us stronger, you know. And trust me, the mere fact that some of us going through, well, all of us going through things, some more than the others, because the Lord never give a man more than what he could bear, right? Let me see if I can get that too. Let's see if I can apply this. Nope. All right, hold on. Let me. Lord, give man. No, it's not like it. Is this Corinthians, right? I think there's one in the Old Testament, boy. But Esau was had to be fucking up with these things, boy. It's like there's no way he's be looking for and they're trying to kill something else. But nevertheless, I believe you all know what I was speaking of. You know, but yeah, the Lord never gave a man more than he could bear, so, you know, through the struggles we go in. So the mere fact that the Lord ever going through that is to build her up, right? As she rightfully said, she just mainly worried about her boys right now. Even though she mourning, she worried about not having a head and how her boys will turn out, you know. So hey, seeing as how I think she said the oldest was 13, you know. He not only become a man in terms of the feet, right? Because you know it's 12 is the number, right? But for the others, you know, and as he's 13 now, he now heading into teenage years. He he and the others still able to get groomed, you know, if the Lord have it so, right? So you never know. This whole thing, I mean, it's all kind of different brothers coming from different walks of life, you know, right? All kind of different people, both women and children. You understand? It are brothers who was once vagrants, I'm sure, right? I know there's brothers who have leg missing, who might have hand missing, who might be able to speak properly, but they understand all these different things. Brothers who are smokers, brothers who are thieves, robbers, murderers, even pedophiles, you understand? And the Lord cleansed them of all these things, you know? So it's a thing for us to fight and be able to endure to the end, you understand? The scripture say that in it's in Timothy, as a good soldier. Yeah, 2 Timothy, I don't mind so. This is 2 Timothy 2, and I read from verse 1. It says, "Though therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Yahushua Mashiach, and the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men, who shall be able to teach others also." Right? It said, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier." Let me put on this D&D, I already forget that. Right? So it's like, for us now, of course, it's for man, because I mean, we are the soldiers, right? But let's put it all across the board. We have to endure it till the end. You understand? Matthew 24, let's get that. He that endureth to the end. Matthew 24. Forget what verse is, you know. To me, I have it highlighted. Do I or do I not? No, highlighted. I know this is. Let me just type it. Same shall received. Verse 13. Alright. I read from verse 12. Alright, it says, "And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold." Right? So when it talks about iniquity shall abound, right? Remember in this second is just 15 and 5, I think, something there, where it mentioned you know, the earth, you know, it polluted now with a bunch of iniquities and whatnot, roughly paraphrasing. Alright? So there's a lot of iniquity, and we know iniquity is sin upon sin. Alright? So when it says iniquity shall abound, right? Meaning to say more that's gonna be upon the face of the earth, you know. It's saying, and the love of many shall wax cold, right? So more people gonna be adapting into the wickedness. So as fast as these let me start with the elites. You know, as fast as them sending out the witchcraft and taking 2/3 getting caught up in that enchantment and them going along with it. You understand? So these are the things that going out now. So it's not afford. Now is not the time to afford to get weak. You understand? Verse 13 say, but he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And this is the key part here. He that endure to the end, the same shall be saved. So for us now, in this time in here, right, as long as we endure it to the end, you know, Big Brother Nagad even mentioned it in yesterday's banging, right? When you're speaking to the same woman, right, he say, hey, the ones who endure to the end, you understand? I said that Big Brother Nagad or Yashua mentioned it, but nevertheless, they mentioned some of us might become martyrs, as Brother Yashua. Some of us might become martyrs, you know, that would be until our end there. That was when the Lord saw fit to end our fleshly life there. You understand? So that's still enjoying till the end. You know? That is when the Lord decided to take you back, you know. And then it have ones who actually going straight down till the nukes fly and I wish I come back. You understand? But the key point about it is endurance. You know, like we're going back to the Sirach 2 again. Take cheerfully. You understand? It's a painful thing. You're mourning, yes, of course. But it's a beautiful thing when sisters here, you know. When that happens, she still never lose faith. You know? She battling the demons in her mind, whatever it is. So again, I pray for that sister. I hope she, you know, she come around in the sense like she come to the fullness of the truth. Right? Get out of that Yahuwah spirit. Get under the spirit, the umbrella of Yahweh Shai, and a newfound husband, whoever it may be in the truth. And, you know, the Lord save her. You know, Lord willing her children too. You understand? And, you know, that is how the Lord dub it. And, yeah. So, she had a very humble spirit. You know, she came meekly and she, you know, she expressed how she felt. You know, asked for answers. She was humble, she listening, whatever it is. She didn't try to overtalk and, you know, because even though certain things we told her already, she already knew based off of what she learned from whatever other camp she was following, right? She still listened. Then she said, well, okay, yes, I know this part and X, Y, and Z. You know, she was very humble. So that was a very warm spirit, and I hope the Lord deliver her spirit, you know. But let me get the Isaiah 4:1. Isaiah, bro, went out me. Isaiah 4:1. Yes. I'm actually start from 25. Alright, this is Isaiah 3:25. It says, thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. Right? And this was a key part had to be mentioned too, because as I mentioned, her husband died right in front of her. It wasn't a war, but a lot of women going and experience this shit. Some of them might see that right in front of them, and some of them, you know, the husband going to war, they never hear from them again. You understand? And here is the funny thing. We always used to draw analogies when it is they come down with our martial law to enforce that MOTB. They will come and put a gun to your head. Right? Let's say, we used to say it in the format of they might pay to your head, children head, whatever it is. But in this instance, let me put it like this, right? They come in and they put a gun to the father head. And they're telling the father, hey, take this or I'll kill you and your entire family. And I will let them watch you suffer and this and that. I'll kill you and I'll grape your wife on this and all kind of thing they might tell them. You understand? But if he be a man of the Lord, right, he will say, fuck you, you ought to kill me. I'm not taking that. You understand? Or he might be the one being threatened, right, and telling the woman to come with me, like according to 2 Ezra 15, where it talks about, your goods being spoiled, because women are goods, them is them is like booty. You understand? So he might tell she, hey, come take, do what I tell you to do, or shoot your husband in his face, let him watch you do this, that, whatever. You understand? Or however he might play off. And he end up dying right in front of them. These are things where we have to prepare our mind for. Right? And this is something very hard for women to do. You understand? Because remember, women like to have that peaceful mindset where it is they want to think about only rainbows and sunflowers and bright sunny days and all them stuff thing. Well, now it's not the time for that. Really Ecclesiastes 3, the Lord will tell you. The Lord will tell you. And I mean, obviously, by everything going on right now, we know it's not our time. You understand? Verse 1 says there's a time. As a matter of fact, let me read that and we'll come back. Yeah, it says in Ecclesiastes 3 and 1, it says to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Right? And then it gives you a time. It says what? A time to be born, a time to die. Verse 3 say a time to kill, a time to heal. Verse 4 say a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. You understand? So it going on, it tells you these things. And this is a very apart thing. You understand? Because it's a how to put it, boy. It's like the Lord training everything about how, I mean, it's something basic, but it's also very heavy. It's like to keep you in the spirit of, awareness rather than complacency. You understand? So when you thinking, well, hey, all times gotta be so, or you praying for better days or whatever it is, hey, in order for them better days to come, as I did that video a while back with some brother I did that video with, better days gonna come, but them better days is the kingdom, man. But for that to come, you understand? All this shit that happen first. But that's the thing. It's just as we just go with the scene where Jake just wanna have a cake and eat it too. You understand? But in order to make that cake or to get that cake, you gotta make it. You gotta labor for that cake. You understand? You gotta labor. You gotta endure it. You gotta take the heat from the oven. And it's funny enough, the Lord say what? The day gonna burn as a oven. You understand? So it's just how the Lord drew all these analogies to give us the insight of how we should be thinking and preparing our minds. You understand? So it's a time under heaven for everything. Everything. You understand? So that time for death and famine and all these things is now. You understand? And that what we have to prepare ourselves for now. We can't wait until later. You understand? Because you're thinking, yeah, later, you ain't prepare your mind yourself and you start to break out, bug out. Then the next thing you know, you can't take it no more, but fuck that, I gonna take him and Motibi and then Bram. You just show, yes, a sign allegiance to the devil because he tempt you or you couldn't hold out. That means your faith weak. You understand? You fear him more than you fear the Lord. And that is it. You understand? And that's the whole high about it. You end up fucking up yourself like that. So when you doing that now, the Lord will show you his real terror by you doing that. You understand? When the Lord talk about his thing going up to heaven, you understand? The fowls are the air eating on you. You understand? And we know these things more pertinent to Esau, eh? But hey, as we mentioned in the war again, you understand? Remember, Jake and all going to be in them wars, fighting in Esau army or wherever other army. You understand? So it's applicable to them too. Right? So let me go back here to the Isaiah. I'll continue in verse 4 one time. Chapter 4, I mean. Right? So Isaiah 4 and 1 it says, right? It says, and in that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Right? And as we just always go into this, right? That 7 women is a completion number. It could be any amount of numbers. You understand? So understanding this, right, is knowing that this time will not come, right? Because that woman right? She don't look like she might be opposite, but I don't know. I don't know her personally, and I mean that is the biggest stumbling block for a woman accepting that. You understand? Because she could seem all cool and whatever it is, and from the time she hear that, that is like a taboo. You understand? Yeah, you trigger a spark there, you hit her business, you know, or you step in her handsness, right? But nevertheless, but our woman, I know she could end up having a husband. And more than likely what happened because I mean time in that time, you know, with the elect right being so few, the elect men being so few, right? It's gonna be hard to believe that a elect man gonna just have one woman. You understand? I feel the list might at least be two. You understand? Because remember if it's just 144,000 men. You understand? We know you're gonna have men still in the part of the 1/3 or whatever it is. Them is the ones I feel might more have probably one or probably two. But the elect men now, that the ones who have spiritual powers and whatnot, them gonna have real women. You understand? Them is the ones that the women gonna be flocking to. Remember, women attracted to power, you know, so they will quicker run to them. But nevertheless, this is the thing here. This coming, right? This coming, and I just tell my wife too, right? Because she obedient to me, right? She just help me out in a lot of different aspects and whatnot, you know. But as I say, this is the most stumbling block for the women. So I don't beat it over her head. It's not something for me to run down or fight down or whatever it might be, right? But ever so often, I will still make sure to reiterate it in her head and say, hey, this coming. She will always say, yeah, well, I know this how to come thing, this, that, whatever. You understand? And she say, all I could do is think, I want to accept it, whoever it is, you know? But at the end of the day, you could say that, but you never end up doing it. Or she could end up doing it by when she see for herself, all right? Because she's seen certain things already, and she may not understand it to the fullest extent, but she's seen certain things already. But, I mean, overall for all women, you understand? Women is more of a creature that had a seat to believe. So when them see the fullness of these things, like when we actually is pilgrims upon the face of the earth and we running through here and we gotta be ducking so for we life, them timing is when she gonna know, hey, you gotta buckle up. You know? You gotta fucking buckle up. So, boy, ladies, as I say, ladies, prepare yourself. You understand? This was a testimony from that lady. You know, if you want to see the banging where the lady approach, our page is GMS Prophetic Vibration 144, right? You could go on the cam channel. Let me see if I could pull it up here because I don't think, I know the brother would have posted, but I don't know what name he put it on there. No studying it. GMS Prophetic. Just bear with me here. I think it's this one. This is the latest one.
Shalom. Alright, this is a brother here
check here.
GMS.
Yeah. This will be the last one here. Let me see.
Do you just grab it up and start to run? The same in the could. The will. Yeah. The fucking will because it has some called what and
it's good.
Can. So yeah.
Alright? So you gotta continue this thing. Some of us here, even standing here, might make it to the end and when the Lord come. Yeah. Right? Some of us will at the end of it. But what all of us have to do is endure unto the end. Whatever be unto death.
I believe this is the part here, but Salak, yeah. These fucking iPhones and them. With me playing this, I could barely hear what it is you're hearing loud and clear. Right? But it would be somewhere around this mark. To be somewhere around this mark, but nevertheless, you know, like I said, this is the title of the video here. I don't think the brother put the camera on the lady, but you'll be able to hear the conversation for sure. So yeah, you could go and watch it and you would know. You would see and hear for yourself, and you could be the judge for yourself, you know. But through the spirit, I hope this lesson was edifying. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Alright, I want to say Kalalayam La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Once again, shalom to the elect.